All right. So chapter 9.3 will break up into two parts, but similar concept to what we did when we were just multiplying here with this box method. Now instead of multiplying a monomial by a binomial, we're going to multiply multiple things together. There's another video I'll talk about the FOIL method, which is first, outer, inner, last, where you're multiplying the first terms together. You might have seen this before. You learned this method: first terms, outer terms, and then inner terms and last terms together. But we're going to use what's called, I'm going to call the box method, which is similar to what we just did with monomials multiplying by binomials. So in this case, here's your steps for that. We're going to set up a grid with the terms of the first and second polynomial, multiply to fill in the grid, and then typically there's going to be like terms. You're going to combine those like terms, and we're going to write them in the standard form. So in this example, we are going to set up our box method. We have a 3x and a negative 5, so I put these on this side. We have a 2x and a positive 7. Those are on that side. And then we're just multiplying. So 2x and a 3x, 2 times 3 is 6. And then we have x squared, because x times x is x squared. 2 times negative 5, so that's going to be a negative 10. And then we have that x. So in this box, we have 7 and a 3x. That becomes a 21x. And 7 times negative 5 becomes a negative 35. So it's important. The biggest thing when you're setting up these boxes is make sure you're putting the correct signs with the correct term. So this is a negative 5, so make sure you have that negative 5 listed out there. All the rest are positives. So now as we look at these, you can see we're going to list this right into standard form. So my biggest exponent is the 6x squared, and then I have two x terms, and so those are like terms, so we can combine them. So we can have 21 minus 10 or negative 10 plus 21. Use your calculator if you need it, but 21 take away 10 is going to give us a positive 11x, and then our last term, our constant, is negative 35. So if you write it out like that, we combine our like terms, and you have our final answer. All right, so there's our 4 sample problems. They all look very similar. But what I want to make sure we got to be careful of is the positives and the negatives. So you can see they're all the same numbers, but the signs are all different. So depending on how we're setting them up. I set the first 2 boxes, so we just need to grid them. So a 3x and a plus 4. 3x. We have a positive 4. I'm not going to indicate the positives just because we assume that. I have a 2x and a positive 5. All right, and now we do our multiplication chart, or grid. So 3 times 2 is going to be 6x squared, because we have the x times the x. 2 times 4 is 8, and we have that x there. 5 times 3 is 15, so 15x. And then we have 5 times 4, which is 20. Now over here, we're going to put them in standard form. So we have the 6x squared, 15 plus 8. So again, these are just positives, so we're just adding them. So it's going to be a positive 23x. And then we have our positive 20. And it's already in standard form, so we're good there. All right, the next one, we're going to set up the same way. So we have a 3x and a negative 4, and it doesn't matter where you put them, because the boxes are going to be the same as just putting them in standard form. Then I have a 2x and a 5. So this is going to be 6x squared. 2 times negative 4, remember our negative. So I have the calculator over here. Make sure you use it just to double check. But 2 times negative 4 is negative 8x. 5 times 3 is 15x. 5 times negative 4 is negative 20. And we put that in standard form. So we have 6x squared. Then we have 15 minus 8, or negative 8 plus 15. So that's going to be a positive 7x. And then we have our negative 20. All right, so with these, and again, as we're going, if you think you got it, pause it and set them up and then do them. So I'm going to set up my box. Give yourself some room. Some people write bigger than others. I write kind of big, and especially on this, it's hard to write small. So I have a 3x here, a 4 here, 2x, and a -5. That negative has to go with it. All right, so I'm going to fill this grid out. So we have 2 times that. We got 6x squared. It goes pretty quick once you get the hang of it. 8x, -15x, and again, use that calculator for negatives if you're not sure on your negative rules, or your integer rules. And then -5 times 4 would be a -20. So we're going to combine these. So this becomes 6x squared, -15 plus 8. So I'll go ahead and just do that on the calculator for you. On this one, you have to do the 15 first, plus 8. So that gives us a -7x. Keep that x with it. And then the -20. All right, the last one we have. I'm going to set up our box again. Because it's 2 by 2, we only need 4 squares. 3x, -4, 2x, -5, 6x squared, -8x. This would be a -15x, +20. I almost wrote the plus there, which would have been fine. So we start with the 6x squared. Now we have a -15x and a -8x. Remember, when they're negatives, all you have to do is add them and attach a common sign. But if you're going to put it in your calculator, make sure you have those negatives in there. So it would be, you can do 8, a -8 minus 15, which gives us -23. Or you could do -8 plus a -15, which is still the same. Still gives us -23. So that's a -23x. And then we have a +20 at the end. All right, a couple other practice problems here. So go ahead and pause this, set this one up. We can set up our square. It's 2 by 2. So we have a 2x, a +4, 3x, -7. Fill in our squares. So we have a 6x squared. I have 12x. That would be -14x. And this would be a -28. All right, then we combine our like terms. 6x squared. -14 and 12, when we add those together, is going to give us a -2x minus 28. And we just multiply that. Here's another one we can try. This one I kind of just threw some random numbers in there. Let's see what it turns out, but it's still the same method if we were going to multiply these together. So here we have a 2x squared, a 5x, 7x, and a +3. 7 times 2 is 14. Then we have x to the third, because we have the 2 and the 1, makes 3. Here we have a 35x squared, because we have this x and that x makes it x squared. Here we have 3 times 2, which would be 6. There's no x there, but there's the x squared there. And then we have a 3 times 5, which would be 15x. So when we put this in standard form, you can see the x squareds are now the like terms. So this will be 14x to the third. And 35 plus 6 would be a +41x squared. And then we would have a plus 15x. So you can see it doesn't matter if it's a binomial times a binomial. We're setting up a 4 by 4. Make sure your signs are correct, though, as far as pluses and minuses. And then we look for putting it in standard form, which we have covered already.